Well, we don't really have a role in what's going on other than we've solidified, this franchise for sure, long term. I've had good conversations with Rick Pitch, president of the San Antonio Spurs, on their commitment in San Antonio with the Rampage, which is really significant. Rick's, head of the executive committee of the AHL and very involved, and they're doing great with that franchise from the Spurs perspective. Oklahoma City has struggled, I know. I think the Oilers. I talked to their people as well. I think they'd like it there. It hasn't been economically viable in the building they were playing in. My own thought would be it made sense for the Thunder to come in, but they didn't. So I think Edmonton's going to move. But I know this: Edmonton would be delighted to go to Houston, as everybody would. If you talk to Dave Andrews, he knows you have the Cedar Park building in Houston somewhere, and it'll be one of the best, if not the best, franchise in the American Hockey League. It would be, when they left. I don't really understand the Rockets pricing them out of their building. It doesn't make any sense to me, but they did. If I was Houston City Fathers, I wouldn't be very happy about it. But with that said, we think that down the road, a community in Houston or the city of Houston will get an appropriate building for American Hockey League franchise, and the American Hockey League will be there. And that is really important to us. We like Oklahoma City and we like the Oilers. They've been good partners, but that's a long trip. That's a 7-hour bus ride to Oklahoma City from here, you guys, and we'd be much more excited about a team in Houston, where the Houston-San Antonio Cedar Park triangle exists, because then you can play weekend games on the road and not have to get on a plane or to do a 7-hour bus ride. So it would be key to us, really important to us, to get a franchise into Houston long term.
Do you think it presents more of a challenge or an opportunity to have multiple AHL franchises inside of your television market as you're trying to grow the brand of the Dallas Stars as the team of the Southwest?
Well, I think it would be great. I think from the AHL perspective, having other franchises here is a really good thing. In long term, if Houston were to get an NHL franchise, I think that would be a good thing as well. That creates a great rivalry for us. So we're not against expansion of the NHL into our market as long as it's viable and appropriate. Whether that can ever happen, I don't know. But I know this: I'm a big Houston fan. I think that's a great market. Its demographics are great. It's got a great hockey history. Should have an AHL franchise at the very least, if not an NHL franchise eventually. But for right now, we really want to see an AHL franchise in that market if we can.
You mentioned that you played Vancouver last night, seeing a guy like Willie Desjardins on the other end of the thing. He's on the wrong end of the score, but that's good for you guys. But just having that development of not only coach and player, but also staff and getting everyone, involved in that sort of call-up environment.
Well, it's a perfect thing. I looked down on the bench. I'm a big Willie Desjardins fan. I kind of wished he'd gone to Pittsburgh instead of Vancouver, so we wouldn't have to worry about it and competing. But he's a really good coach, and Glenn Gullickson's a good coach. Don't get me wrong. That guy's going to be behind an NHL benches ahead for sure. Down the road, he just needs some experience. So it's exciting for us to see Doug Lister, Willie Desjardins, and Glenn Gullickson behind the bench in a market as viable and as great as Vancouver. Felt good to beat them, but those are quality guys. And I know Jim and Whitey, Scott White, are very proud that our guys are coaching in other places at high levels, and that's the whole idea. What we really want now are our players playing at very high levels. You guys must have been excited now about watching John Klingberg and Jyrki Okapaka and Jamie Alexiak and Curtis McKenzie and Travis Morin playing really significant roles with our team now. And that's the future, you guys. The future for us is Julius Honka and Radek Faksa and Brett Ritchie and the next wave of guys coming. We'll break 7 players pro next year out of our existing juniors college in Europe coming over here. And they're going to be significant players here. And, you're going to see Devin Shore here as early as the 1st of March. When his season ends in Maine, I would suspect, and that list goes on and on. So we're thrilled with what's developing. It's about developing players and management, and now business. We've already identified a couple of young people that are on our Dallas staff that will be coming down here and augmenting the business staff of Austin. This is Cedar Park. This is an easy place. We've got a lot of University of Texas grads that work for us, or Texas A&M grads, and the thought of for them to come down and be able to further their careers, these young 25-year-old men and women that come down and have learned a trade from us. We send them down, we get them trained. They come down here, they work with Rick and the existing staff here and help build it up, and then they have the opportunity to come back and learn. We're going to do that at all levels of our organization. That's part of the deal.